my name is Lurleen Simmons, and I'm with Mutual Credit Union, and we're going to talk about a very exciting topic today. A lot of commonly asked questions for our high school seniors and high school students as they get ready to apply for college. Very exciting time of life, and we have with us Miss Jordan Amborn. She is the guidance counselor here at St. Aloysius High School. Good morning, Jordan.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is exciting. We know students especially are very excited about this time of life. You know, they've been waiting on these moments since they were little kids, talking about what schools they're going to go to, what degree programs they're going to major in, what they're going to be when they grow up, right? And parents are on the sidelines going, how am I going to pay for all of this, right?
And it gets more expensive every year. So yes, that's a good question, how to pay for it.
That's
make
right.
Sure you support them.
That's right. And so this process can begin, all the way in 7th and 8th grade with the ACT and SAT. So, Jordan, on the ACT and SAT, what do the students need to know to get ready for that?
I think for sure they can start taking the ACT and SAT as early as 7th or 8th grade, but I would say for sure they need to take it by their sophomore year, by the end of their sophomore year, because that way it gives them, they've had enough time to get the math and the English and science curriculum under their belt, so they know what's being tested on the ACT, but then also they have enough time to go back and work on those skills that maybe need a little bit of extra boost in their score, and they have several extra times to take it until the end. The last time really that seniors should be able to take the ACT is December of their senior year, because after that most colleges and universities will not look at your score.
Right.
So that year and a half is a good window of time.
Right, to prepare and then some, right? So,
absolutely.
And we'll talk about the then some. So what happens when you get that score and it's a little lackluster, it's not quite what you had expected that you would test at? What is your suggestions for retakes?
The best times to take the ACT are in April and June and December, because you can actually order your original test booklet and your answer sheet.
Oh.
And so you get those back and you can see, this is what I did well in, these are the skills that I really need to hone in on a little bit to get my subject areas up for that composite score. So those are the three. There are 6 or 7 throughout the year you can take, but those are the main 3 I suggest. So that way you know, I need to focus on my math, or I need to focus on the geometry part of it, or I need to focus on my grammar. And so when you go and take those, there's different ACT test prep courses around town that people offer. You can find them on Facebook all the time. That way you know what you need to be focusing on.
That's awesome. And we talked a little bit prior to, because I was interested in the retake. I know I had heard rumors at one time that, and y'all probably have too, which is why you'll be curious about this too, is that the scores were average. So if you took it, 5 times, that you would basically get the average of those 5. But Jordan was sharing some insight for potential future changes. So
starting next year with the ACT, it's not just going to be your composite score from one test. Once you've taken all 4 sections in one sitting, you can actually go back and take just the math one time, or just English, or just reading, and really focus on that.
Right.
And it'll take your highest subject score, and they make what's called a super score. It's your highest of each, and that makes your super score composite. And that's what colleges will be able to use from here on out, which is really beneficial for students, because they may just have had an off day in one of the subjects, or been so tired by the end, it's not showing their true potential.
Right.
So that's an exciting change that I wish had been around
Oh my
for
gosh.
years.
I can remember, we were talking about this, and I can remember arguing, with college counselors. They're like, you really need to be in the remedial math courses. And I'm like, no, I'm not very good at testing in math, but then they matched it up with your transcript. They could see, your GPAs in your math classes, then it kind of washed out. But this is a great opportunity in the future for those who, like you said, might just have had an off day.
It is. And that's the thing for kids to remember. That ACT score, your SAT score, is one small piece of the picture of who you are. You have your GPA, you have all of the classes that you've taken, you have your resume with your activities and athletics and community service. So if you're not a great test taker, it's not the end of the world. The colleges will look at everything under the sun that pertains to you. So don't focus just on that test and stress out and think, I'm not going to get in college because I can't get a certain score on your ACT.
Right.
Really, it's a holistic picture now, which is exciting.
Very much so. Okay, so ACT, SAT, very, very important. Let's move into different types of financial aid out there for high school students to apply for.
Okay, everybody knows about scholarships. There are, most of the money that students are going to get from scholarships are going to come directly from their college or university. So it's really important that they fill out those applications. That's where the big chunk is going to come from. There are local scholarships. I know Mutual offers a very nice scholarship to several students in our area.
Our deadline's March 31st.
So it's coming up. Yeah, 1 month.
That's right.
And so lots of different organizations. There's companies. I know different insurance companies offer, different social organizations. So it's really important that students look for those scholarship opportunities.
Yes.
Ask their counselors, ask their teachers, ask their parents what opportunities. I know even like the realtors in town have a book scholarship if your parent is a part of the realtor association.
Right.
And so all you do is just fill out the form for that. So you're eligible for so many things. But outside of scholarships, there are federal grants that are given. There is a work-study program that is available for lots of different students. You can also get student loans, which I know is a big hot topic right now, and that's usually the last thing that you would like to apply for, so try to get all those scholarships and grants first, and then the loans last.
That's right. And see what your difference is how much cost you have left to cover, and then, go after some of the financial aid. But you want to walk out with your degree and not already be in debt. So this is the goal. There's so many opportunities out there for students.
There really are.
For financial aid. I mean, way more opportunities out there than when you actually finish your degree program and you're looking for finance options. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, awesome. So there's financial aid opportunities in our state, right?
Yes. At the website, it's msfinancialaid.org.
Okay.
That's where students all need to fill out an application. That's where you may have heard of MTAG or the Mississippi Eminent Scholars Grant. Mm-hmm. You have to fill out that application every year on the Mississippi Financial Aid website.
And every year, even when you're in college, right?
Even when you're in college.
Right.
So every year until you graduate from college, you have to continually fill out that application.
Right. I think some people forget that. They apply in high school, and then either mom is not there reminding them, or it lapses, and they're like, where's that? It used to be $250 or $500. What is it now?
It's $500 or $1,500, depending on your ACT and GPA.
Right.
And then the counselor will send in your verification of all of your scores. So they all call me and they're like, it says you need to send it. I'm like, I promise I'll send it.
We're good. No worries.
We'll get it done.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but that's a big part. And that's guaranteed to all the students who have taken the ACT or SAT and have a certain GPA. So pretty much everybody can get one of those one of those state financial aid
opportunities.
grants.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then moving into, so everybody has heard, or if you haven't, you're going to now, your federal financial aid is called FAFSA, F-A-F-S-A.
FAFSA.
Jordan,
and let me look and see what that means. I wrote it down a second ago.
That's right. We want to make sure we say it correctly.
The free application for federal student aid. So
there
called the FAFSA. So you may have heard of that. I hope you've heard of it if you're a senior, because it's time to fill it out.
Yes, deadline soon.
It is, and it goes along with your parents' or your guardian's tax information. So you have to have that. Students can fill out most of it, but they will need a guardian or a parent to help them fill in the tax information.
Whoever is claiming you as a dependent on their tax returns, that's the tax return you need.
That's who you'll need. And there is a way now when you're filling out your taxes that the parents can actually check a box that says send on to the FAFSA application. So that's very nice. So make sure that you're doing that.
Yes.
And that's another thing that has to be filled out every year, like that Mississippi Financial Aid. So do not forget about FAFSA.
Yeah, even when you're in college, you still have to reapply.
Every single year you have to reapply. And that's important because a lot of, you can't get federal financial aid without filling out the FAFSA.
Right.
So you can't get those grants. You can't get the work study, any of that, until you filled it out. But even some universities and local scholarship organizations want you to fill out the FAFSA first.
Right. And declare if you've been awarded anything,
exactly.
right?
They want to know. They don't want to give money to someone who already has a free ride. They want to make sure that their money is being spread out to people who need it.
Right.
And so that's why you just need to fill out the FAFSA, no matter who you are.
Right.
Even if you don't think you're going to qualify for anything,
right,
you would be surprised at what you actually can get from the FAFSA. So it's important.
Right. And each state has their own deadline for the FAFSA, which I found kind of interesting since it's a federal financial aid program, why each state would have a different deadline. But, ours is coming up in June.
I know. Well, and it opens in October.
Right.
So, and it gives you 2 different years. You can use the tax information from 2 different years. If you fill it in October, then you've used the previous years, or if you fill it out after January or February before that June deadline, you can use the next year. So really,
hint, if you're not a senior, but you have a senior in the makings, right? You might want to think about that when you're applying. Maybe the year prior to, the 2 years prior to was not the best year. Maybe that's the one to put the tax return when you're filing for financial aid.
Yeah. See what
maybe be more advantageous, right, for your senior.
Exactly.
Keep that in mind. But if you wait until after January 1, then of course you'd have to use
the next year.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a really great organization I was just telling Lurleen about. It's called Get to College, and it's the number 2, get2college.org. They are in Jackson. It's a completely free organization. They will help you fill out the FAFSA because the first time it's a little tricky.
Yeah.
So you can call and set up an appointment with them. They're super nice. You bring all your stuff and they basically just enter it for you the first time. They also have free ACT and SAT prep courses.
Yeah.
So that's a really great organization that's just right there in Jackson, and they'll come into the schools and do FAFSA days, and they're just very versatile is what they can help you do, especially for those parents and students who are first-time parents sending their kids to college. It's changed a lot since I've been there.
Oh, yes.
So, it's just very different. So it's good to have somebody on your side to help you.
Well, and I was shocked. We just put a post together yesterday on our page about the cost of applying for college. If you start looking into those prep courses, like that money can add up. And then the application cost for each college or university, they each have their own fee to process all that paperwork, and that can add up if you're trying to apply to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different schools. It all adds up.
And that's what's important. It's great to apply to different places. And we always tell our kids apply to 3 different types of schools.
Right.
The one that's the reach school that you think there's no way I'm going to be accepted, and even if I do, am I not going to go there?
Right.
Know, something like an Ivy League type school. So
Right.
apply somewhere like that, and then apply to a state school that you know you'll get in.
Right.
And that would be a great opportunity. And then apply for a community college that you know also you would get in that can offer you an associate's degree and also those scholarships as you go to a 4-year university. So there's 3 different tiers of schools, and they all have their great benefits.
That's right.
And their drawbacks. So just think about what's best for you, but apply to everything that you're able to apply to, because you never know who's going to give you money.
That's right.
Who's going to accept you and where your best fit is going to be.
That's right. I'm with you. I did apply to Harvard.
Oh.
I did have a reach school. Oh, no, I didn't. But I did apply.
Oh, well, good.
I went through the whole
It's good to
process.
go through that process.
It is.
I only applied to one school, and I got in, and I went there, and it was great, but I didn't have options when it came time to go
Right.
to school because I was so dead set. And who knows, if I had applied to somewhere else, I may have gone a different route.
Nah.
No.
You'd always been a tiger.
I love LSU.
Okay, so we're rolling into the whole college application process, moving from the financial aid piece. And, so what are some of the bigger challenges of the application process for college?
Time management.
Okay.
Our students are so busy nowadays. It's so
Mhm.
different than it was 15 or 20 years ago. They're all so involved in so many different aspects of school and community life.
Right.
Filling out college and scholarship applications is technically a part-time job your senior year. I mean, you can spend all kind of time researching and finding out what you need to fill out. You're writing essays, you're getting recommendation letters, you're writing and updating your resume. So I suggest having a calendar just for deadlines, just for college and scholarship deadlines, and check that often and say, what do I need to do on this week? What do I need to be working on? Because a lot of those deadlines come the same time as state championship games.
Oh, yeah.
Or when you're studying for final exams. And so you have to take this exam, and the scholarship may fall by the wayside, and you miss the deadline. And deadlines are important, and a deadline is a deadline when it comes to all of these things.
Yes,
and
when it comes to awards or financial aid, or admissions, there is no leeway.
No, and so that hurts the students if they're not organized. So really, time management is the most important.
I was thinking about this on the way over here, just recommendation letters. Not waiting to the last minute to kind of pinpoint those who would give you great recommendations, kind of covering all aspects of life. I'm stepping out on another side of it, Jordan, but you but giving them an opportunity to really write you a well-written recommendation letter. That's not something you can ask somebody on one day and expect it the next.
No.
Like, they need time to craft it.
They do. I usually say about 2 weeks, and make sure you have an updated resume. And then I also like to have a copy of whatever the scholarship is the student is applying for, so I can look at that and see what is the scholarship committee going to be looking for, so I can make sure that letter
matches up.
Is matching that, yeah. And once I've written a letter for someone, it's easy to go back, and I may not need the 2 weeks, but I still want to tweak it a little bit to match what it's focusing on.
Yeah, so it doesn't come off generic. It comes off like you really, like you really know. If they ask you to, for a recommendation, that's because they feel like you really understand them and know them, and
you feel like they deserve that opportunity. Yeah. So it's important. So that's another thing. Really think about who needs to write your letter, which teacher. A lot of kids forget about people in the community, someone at church or in an organization you volunteered or work for, a boss. It doesn't just have to be your counselor or teacher unless it specifies that. Think outside the box as to who can write a letter for you.
Yeah. Okay, in the application process, sometimes you feel like you're buried in the weeds amongst everybody else. So what is a piece of advice you give to really stand out when you're applying for college?
So we all know that ACT and SAT scores and GPA are important when applying to college, but when you're applying for special programs and scholarships, that's when you really want to be able to stand out. And so I tell my students, find something that really speaks to you, something that you're very passionate about, and hone in on that. So for example, if you really love working with children, make sure all of your, not all, but a lot of your community service and a lot of your activities focus around that. Because you could have 10,000 service hours, but if it's all over the board, it shows me you just were trying to get service. But if I can see you worked at a summer camp, or you spent your time volunteering at a church vacation Bible school, and you made sure that your local Key Club had a mentor program for elementary students, if you continue to focus on that, then your essays that you write for the scholarships show your passion and show how much you care about that. And that community, that scholarship organization can also see, okay, this child really has a passion for that. And that makes you separate from the pack. It's not just all the hours and the activities and the list. It shows your true heart and who you are. It speaks to you.
I love that. Full circle. Like, don't go for redundancy. Go for unique personalization so that they can really, you jump off the page.
You do.
In your application.
You've got to find a way. Because these people, and I've sat on scholarship committees before, and I feel like I've looked at your resume, and everyone's resume is fantastic. These kids all do so many things, and they are all so wonderful and so deserving. But when I hear, in their own words, and I hear from those letters of recommendation what kind of person they are and how much time they've given and what their heart really speaks to, that makes a huge difference.
Right. Yes, absolutely. I'm sitting here thinking about, Jordan and I have sat on some scholarship committees before and reading through the scholarships, and then sometimes it's like, okay, all right, bless them. But
I know. You can tell whose heart really is there and whose isn't, and you know, if you don't know the person other than what they write, it really is important to have a passion for what you're putting into that essay. And if you're spending your time, make sure it's something that you care about, because that's when it's going to become more important to you, and it is worthwhile. So that's not even really a scholarship tip. That's more just a life tip. Don't spend your time on something that's not as super important to you.
That's right.
Do what is your passion.
Absolutely.
So sorry to go off on a
a
tangent on that.
That is a perfect segue, because our wrap-up question for Miss Jordan Amborn is: if you could give your seniors advice all the time, but what is one piece of advice that you consistently give, to prep them for their next season in life?
When you head off to college, go to class. I say that to them all the time. Do not skip class. Don't come late to class. Don't sleep through your classes. Show up. Sit in the front. Make sure your professors know who you are. You might be in a class of 1,000 people,
right,
or you might be in a class of 15 or 16, but no matter what the size, your professor can know who you are. Go to those office hours. Show them that you care. Ask questions and just be present.
Right.
More than anything, that holds you accountable, and it shows how important your education is to you. And if you're in that classroom, you're going to be learning, and you're going to make better grades. That's just a fact. So that's
right.
my biggest tip. Go to class.
I love it. Yeah, show up.
Yeah.
Get up, get dressed, and show up. There
Absolutely.
You go. There's your tip. All right, Jordan. Well, this was awesome. I hope y'all have some great takeaways. I know I do, and my kids are young, so we've got some time, so I'm sure it'll change between now and then.
It will.
I do want to leave you with a couple of resources. Miss Jordan mentioned the gotocollege.org. Get to college. So GET, the number 2, college.org has some great resources. At Mutual, we have a free website called mutualcu.enrich.org. It has a lot of resources there for you. If you're writing a resume, like Ms. Amborn suggested, then you can upload it and have a group of professionals work through it and offer you feedback. There's a scholarship search area there that searches scholarships nationwide. So there's a lot of tools and resources, and of course, it wouldn't be a resource from a credit union if it didn't have a financial piece to it as well, right? So it can help you calculate student loan debt payoff and lots of other options. So, and we mentioned deadlines. So March, April, May are big scholarship deadline months, both for colleges and universities and for your local organizations. So I know Mutuals is March 31st. Junior Auxiliaries is coming up. It's March 15th. And so March is a big month. So be looking for those deadlines the 15th. If you haven't started, we're about 2 weeks out. So
spend time over spring break.
Yes.
Don't get senioritis yet.
That's
We're
right.
not finished yet.
That's right. Show up during spring break and get yourself prepared for this next chapter in life. It's going to be an exciting one. So anyway, we're going to leave y'all, but thank you so much for joining. Oh, and if you have a comment or a question that we didn't address, be sure to post it in the comments, and we will get back to you, okay? Have a great day.